Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Cece and today's tutorial will show you how to make this side gathers gown that I'm putting on right now. So this is the corset version of this gown. So let's get started into drafting this pattern. So to start drafting, I'm going to go ahead and mark out 1 inch from this part right here. Just mark that 1 inch here, and then I'm going to go ahead to place my cup like this. You can see what I'm doing. So do yours the same way. You need to use your cup to do this. This is a bra cup, so I'm going to place it like this, and I'm going to hold it down a little, and then I'm going to go ahead to trace out the curve of this a pattern of this cup. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead to trace out the curved area of this cup. Okay, you can see what I'm doing. Do yours the same way, and then when you're done, you just go ahead and take out your body measurement. Okay, so to take my body measurement, I need you to pay attention here. I went ahead to mark out 6 inches. You can mark out 6 inches or 6.5 if you are in a bigger size. Okay, this is for the off shoulder, right? So I'm going to go ahead to mark out my full length of the gown, which is 34 inches. Then I came here and mark out my half length, which is 17 inches. And then I went ahead to mark out the hip of this gown, which is about 25 inches. Okay, for the hip. So after I'm done, I went ahead to connect it in a straight line. So right now I'm going to go ahead to label it. So this is my waist, and this is the hip, and here is the full length of this gown. Okay, this is the gown length. And then the next thing I'm going to do is to go ahead and start measuring my bust. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead to measure my bust, which is about 9.5 divided by 4. Okay, my bust divided by 4 is 9.5 plus 2 inches sewing allowance. Okay, my waist divided by 4 plus 2 inches sewing allowance. Okay, my hip divided by 4, which is 10 plus 2 inches sewing allowance. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead to this gown part and also measure my hip divided by 4 plus 2 inches sewing allowance. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead to connect all this line. Okay, remember that whatever you are going to mark out right here, you have to divide it by 4. Okay, just the way I did. You have to divide your bust by 4, divide your waist by 4, divide your hip by 4, divide the gown length using your hip measurement by 4. Okay, and add your sewing allowance. All right, and then go ahead and mark it out the way I did. Okay, so this is what I have right here. You can see how it's looking like. The shape is coming out. So here I'm going to mark out 3 inches. Okay, I'm marking out 3 inches here to have that space at the front of this gown. Okay, this is 3 inches that I'm marking out here. You can mark out 2.5 if you wish, if you want it to be smaller. It depends on what you actually want. So after I'm done, I went ahead to start marking it out like this. You can see what I'm doing. So do yours the same way. So this is the 3 inches, and here I'm going to try to make a curve with my free hand. But after making this first curve, I did not like what it looks like. Okay, and I tried again to make another curve. So if you're using a free hand, this should be simple for you. So go ahead and make sure that the curve stops at these points that I'm marking out right now, from the waist to the point at the hip line. Okay, you can see what I'm trying to do. I don't like this curve that I made right now, so I'm trying to make another curve that I like. All right, you can just go ahead and make a curve that you like using your free hand or your pattern master, any way you like it. Okay, this is just optional for you. Just go ahead and make a curve just the way I'm doing it. So after making it with my free hand, I went ahead to just curve it out with my pattern master. Okay, you can see that you can actually do this with your free hand, even though if you don't have a pattern master. Okay, if you have got to this point and you have not yet subscribed, please do subscribe, put on the notification bell, like, share, tell me what you think about this video in the comment section. I'll be waiting to answer all your questions if you have any. Alright, so after marking out and making this curve, I decided to snatch the waist of this gown, because this gown, the waist part is always tight, so I decided to snatch it by 1 inch. Okay, so go ahead and snatch it if you want. This is optional. So after marking out 1 inch, I went ahead to connect it to the lines that I have before. You can see what I'm doing. So the waist is now smaller by 1 inch. Okay, so I have removed 1 inch from its original measurement. All right, so go ahead and do yours the same way. Okay, you can see what I'm doing and do yours the same way. All right, so now this part that I have marked out, I won't be using it. Okay, so now this is the front and this is also the front. I went ahead to write all this down so I don't misplace it. Okay, now it's time for me to work on the cup. So for this cup, I'll be adding about 0.5 inches allowance. Okay, or 0.5 inches allowance. All right, so go ahead and mark it, or half an inch allowance. All right, go ahead and mark it just the way I'm doing mine. You can see what I'm doing because we're using this allowance to stitch in the cup when we are sewing on the fabric. Okay, so go ahead and do yours the same way. You can see that I'm using my free hand to do it, so if you don't have a pattern master, just go ahead and use your free hand to mark this out. So after I'm done, it's time for me to cut it out. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead to cut it out like this, and then we'll continue with drafting the back of this pattern. So to draft the back, I'm going to bring in another pattern here. You can see I placed it on top of it so that it will be easier for me to cut out. So for this back, I'm going to be using about 1.5 inches zipper allowance. It depends on what zipper allowance you want. So I'm going to be using 1.5 for my own because I want this dress to be tight as possible. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to the waistline. You can see I'm using the front to mark out to make the back pattern. Okay, I'm going to take out from that 1.5 zipper allowance. I'm going to be taking out about 1.5 inch from the waist. Okay, I'll mark out half inch. That is what I just marked out like this, and this is why the waist is going to look like this. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead to connect these dots from the waist to the chest area, and from the waist to the full length of this gown. I hope you understand what I'm doing. I'm saying, just look at what I'm doing, you understand what I'm trying to explain here. So after marking it out is to take out the zip bulge. Okay, so that your zip can lay flat at your back when you're putting it on. All right, and then when you're done, go ahead and cut out your pattern. So after cutting, I'm going to go ahead to notch my zipper part so that I'll be able to, it'll be easier for me to cut when I'm cutting on my fabric. Okay, I'm going to go ahead to notch out all the area, including the waist and everything for the back. So guys, this is what my pattern looks like. And this part here, if you don't have a tracing wheel, just go ahead and use your scissors and try to trace it out. It's going to show at the back. Okay, so I went ahead to use my own tracing wheel to go ahead to trace this line that I'm going to be using, because I need the same effect at the back. Okay, hope you understand what I'm trying to say here. So after tracing, I'm going to make sure that the lines show at the back of the pattern. Okay, so that I'll be able to trace it out. It will be easier for me to trace out. All right, so after I'm done, I'm just going to go ahead and trace it from the back. All right, so this is going to look like when I'm done, when I take out my front pattern. Okay, so I'm going to be seeing these traces at the back of this pattern like this, and I'm going to go ahead to use it to trace out my patterns. Okay, you can see what I'm doing, so do yours the same way. Go ahead and trace it out. You're going to be seeing the image the image or the reflection at the back of your pattern. That is what I'm using to mark this out, so that I don't need to take out my measurement all over again. So it's more easier this way. Okay, so go ahead and do yours the same way. So the next thing I'm going to do is just to mark out my zipper lines. Okay, so we have already done this before, so I'm just going to mark out the zipper lines here and then continue with my pattern. So after I'm done, this is what I have and this is what it looks like here, and this is what my back is looking like. It came out really nice, and then this is the front. So the next thing I'm going to do right now is to cut out this part, okay, because I'm going to be using it to cut on my fabric. All right, so just look at what I'm doing and do yours the same way. I'm also going to go ahead to cut out the bust areas. You can see how the cup area looks like, so go ahead and cut it out the way I'm cutting mine. Okay, you can see that I'm leaving the allowance there, so go ahead and cut yours the same way. Okay, so when you're done, this is what we have for the front. So you can see what I have here, so I'm going to take it aside and I'm also going to go ahead to cut the back. I'm just writing here zipper, so I will not make any mistake while cutting on the fabric. So go ahead and also cut out your back like this, and then this is all for the drafting of the bodies of this gown. Okay, so guys, right here, this is what I have for the side. Okay, this is the side of the front and the side of the back, and I'm going to show you what you're going to do next here. You're going to go ahead to spread it. Okay, you're going to go ahead to cut out about I'm using about 1.5, so you can decide to use 2 inches or 1 inch. It depends on what you want. So I'm using about 1.5 inches here, and I'm going to go ahead to spread it like this to cut out the lines like this, because I need to do a slash and spread here that I can be able to get that gathers effect at the side of the gown that you saw me putting on. So go ahead and do yours the same way, and I'm also going to mark the same thing for the other part of this pattern. So I'm going to label it 2, 3 and 4, so I don't make mistake when I cut it out like this. You can see what I'm doing. This is the reason why you need to label it. Okay, so when you cut it in pieces, you can be able to rearrange it back the way it should be, because if you don't label it like this or write anything to indicate it, it's going to be difficult for you to fix back when you want to use it to cut on your fabric. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say here. Okay, so after cutting, I'm also going to cut out this back part. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing and then cut it out. All right, so after cutting, I'm going to show you what you're going to do next. So you can see that I also went ahead to label it. Okay, so go ahead and do it the same way that I'm doing mine, so you don't make any mistake. Just look at what I'm doing and do yours the same way. So right now, after cutting that side, what I'm going to do right now is to cut out the design at the front of my bra cup. So to get this design, I'm going to be measuring my bra cup. So what I got was 8 inches, and I'm going to add 1 inch, making it 9. Okay, you can see what I'm doing. So after marking out 9 inch right now, what I'm going to do next is to come down here by 3 inches. Okay, then mark out 3 inches here. This is to get that design at the front of the cup. So it depends on what you want, the design you like. Okay, you can be creative here and create your own designs. Okay, so right now I'm going to make some different type of designs for you to actually use and make yours. So you can see what I'm doing here. I went ahead to mark out the middle of this because I want to mark out the curve. And after marking out the middle, and I'm going to go ahead to check it out properly, and then I'm going to make my curve. You can see the middle here, I still have about 3 inches. I'm going to mark 2 inch here. Okay, I'm going to mark 2 inch so that I can make that curve that it's at the front of the that is always at the front of the cup area, those designs that you see. So I'm going to go ahead to make the curve. You can see what I'm doing. So go ahead and do yours the same way. I'm just giving you an example of what you can do if you're going to be making a design at the front of your own cup. Okay, so just go ahead and be creative with it and just create your own designs. So after I'm done, this is what I have. You can actually make it 4 inches or 5 inches to be longer or bigger. Okay, so this is what I did. So this is the size of a 3 inches design. All right, this is the size of 3 inches. So I'm going to go ahead to connect it like this. Look at what I'm doing. So do yours the same way. So go ahead and connect it like this, and then you can see what I have. Remember that the wideness of this design here, it's 9 inches, okay, which is the wideness of the cup, plus 1 inch, and the length of this design is just 3 inches. So if you want to make, I would advise you to just use about 4 to 5 inches, okay, than 3 inches. Look at what I have here. Now you can understand what I'm trying to tell you. Okay, this is what I have. If you want to create these designs, okay, this is what it looks like. Okay, this is an example on what it's going to look like on your cup. Okay, it depends on what you want. So I'm going to also go ahead to show you another type of design that you can also make. So, and this is the one that I used for my cup. Okay, so I'm going to show it to you right now. So right here, guys, I'm going to go ahead to make the design that I used for this tutorial. So I'm going to mark out these lines here because this pattern is not straight, and I'm going to mark 9 inches. Okay, remember the length of the cup is 8 inches plus 1 inch sewing allowance. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead to mark out 3.5 inches here. Sorry, I mark out 3.5 inches for the length. Okay, and then here I'm going to go ahead to mark out 2 inches, okay, for the length of this side, and I'm going to go ahead to connect it like this in a curve. Okay, so go ahead and do yours the same way if you're going to use my same design, the one that you saw on the front of my my cup or the video or at the starting of this pattern drafting. Okay, it depends on what you want. Remember, I said you can be creative and create your own design. This is also an example for you to use to make it easier for you to create your design. So I'm going to head to recheck my measurements, and I want to connect it. Okay, you can see what I have. All right, so go ahead and do yours the same way. So after I'm done, I went ahead to just cut it out because I really need to cut on my fabric, and I'll show you how to do it when I'm sewing this dress. Okay, so go ahead and cut it out like this, and you can see what I have here. I'll be using it to create my design at the front of the cup. Okay, so this is an example of what it's going to look like at the front of my cup. Okay, you can see what I have. So this is what it should look like when you are done. So guys, the next thing I'm going to do is the sleeve. Okay, to cut out this sleeve, I'm going to measure about 5 inches. I'm going to measure about 5 inches here. Remember that this is an off shoulder, so I'll measure about 5 inches. You can use 5 to 6, but 5 inches is okay for the length. And here I'm going to measure my armhole divided by 2, which is 7. I went ahead to mark it out here. Okay, 7 is okay for me. I don't need to add any other allowance. All right, so I'm going to mark it out here, and I'm going to go ahead to connect it like this in a straight line. This is the length, and the 5 inches, this is the wideness of the sleeve, and the 5 inches is the length. Remember, 5 inches for the length, and then 5 inches for the length, and 7 inches for the wideness, which is my armhole divided by 2 2.87. Okay, that's what I marked out. All right, so then from that tip of the 5 inches like this, from the tip like this, I'm going to go ahead to mark this curve like this. You can see what I'm doing. I'm using my free hand. I'm using my free hand to make this line here, to make it curve to meet the 7 inches. Okay, you can see what I just did, and that's what you need for your sleeve. Okay, the sleeve that I saw on the thumbnail or on the video that I used, this is how I made it. Okay, so for this side of the sleeve like this shorter part is where I'm going to be cutting on fold. Okay, so right now I'm also going to cut out another sleeve here. This is for the piping of the sleeve. Okay, you need to pipe the sleeve. It's like a bias, so I marked out 7 inches, which is my armhole divided by 2, and then I went ahead to cut it out. So you need about 2 inches length for this. Okay, you need about 2 inches, but what I have here is 1.5. When I'm cutting on my fabric, I'll cut out 2 inches instead of 1.5, and this side should be on fold. You should cut it on fold when you're cutting this part. So guys, we have come to the end of this tutorial. Don't forget to subscribe. In my next video, I'll be showing how I made this dress. See you in my next video. Bye.